A lot of times life will happen on life's terms, and it seems unjust or unfair, right? You've tried your hardest and something didn't work out. And I remember Tony said this once, and it sticks with me all the time. He said, when things seem unjust or unfair, and you show up anyways and give 100%, that is when greatness shows up. And so no matter how unjust or unfair life seems, or circumstances seem, or situations at work or in a relationship seem, if you just show up anyways and give 100%, you will feel so good about yourself and what you've given. It's inevitable that your greatness will show up. So just remember that.
To the 20-somethings that think they might be entrepreneurs, right? My biggest advice is there are 14-year-olds that are making $400,000 a year right now. So you don't really have the time to think about it. Stop mulling it over. Decide whether this is for you. And if it is, do it. Because like I said, there are 14-year-olds that are like 4 million liquid right now.
I know.
That can literally buy and sell you. Like, it's crazy, right? So you're not as ahead as you think you are. You're not as the whole rest of my life is ahead of me. Actually, you're a couple of years behind.
There's no person that's going to come along that's going to be like, here's the key. Or hey, here, you know, it's kind of like you're thinking that maybe someone knows more. I mean, there are people that know more, but that someone just hasn't let you in on a secret, and eventually someone's just going to come by and give you the secret. You know, I think the secret is to literally believe in what you want, to have a clear vision of where you want to go, and to find out how to get there. Like, literally, like I said, with my short film, I knew nothing. You know, a lot of people in film would have, and actually thinking back, they actually did kind of tell me like, maybe don't try to do that. Or they kind of like looked at me like, I'm going to shoot a short film. It's like, you've never shot anything in your life. Are you sure you're ready to like drive out 6 hours and like maybe fail hard? But whatever your vision is, whatever your dream is, just start working on it. Like, don't wait for anyone's permission.
What are your last words of advice or inspiration for the people listening who are still hustling and trying to build their dream life?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard, so keep going. But the other thing, I would start to ask yourself some questions. Like, I'm not a big fan of giving statements as advice, but I like questions. Even in the book, like at the end of every chapter in the book, my publisher wanted me to have like, this is what you should do. And I'm like, how about we have questions? And we're going to have questions. So that's why every chapter ends with questions. So I think the 3 most important questions to ask yourself are, how much is enough? How will I know when I get there? And what will change when I do? And I think those are the best, even if you don't read the book, those are the best things that you can ask yourself if you're running or thinking about starting a business.
Don't give up. Your first idea is probably going to fail. You might have to go through 10 ideas. Just keep doing it. It's going to feel really embarrassing. It's going to feel like you're going to feel weird telling your parents or your friends that you like switched ideas again and again. And that's okay. And everyone goes through it. All of the like stories in the New York Times about how successful this company is, they behind the scenes went through it like in a very painful way. So don't be discouraged. I think that's the advice that I like to give people.
So I think it's about, have you made time to be passionate? Have you made time to think about what passion looks like in your life? Instead of spending too much time thinking, oh, that person got lucky, or everybody else seems to have time and I don't. I have to work. I have kids. When you use these things as a crutch, you're not doing anybody any favors. Certainly not yourself.
So I'm a fan of massive action. Don't be passive. Don't sit back and just hope that it's going to change, but take action. If you spend a year taking massive action and it doesn't work, I say keep going. What else is there? If it's important to you, whether it's getting your business off the ground or finding a partner or turning around your health or your finances, take massive action.
And just take action on your goals and your dreams, set them in motion, create the habits, and they don't have to be huge habits, but start off with small habits. As those get reinforced, they create a new lifestyle that will start carrying you towards a higher plane of success, and just keep doing those things. And before you know it, you'll transform your life. Just like I say, the art of beliefology. I personally, beliefology, the question is, do you?
Number one, write like you speak. So I often see people, the moment they start writing an email, they sound like a robot, and that's not at all how they speak. When they're talking to someone, they're very charismatic. They offer great descriptions of different things, but then the moment they're writing an email, they sound like a robot. So don't be robotic. Have a tone that you use that's human and that's relatable.
But you have to figure out, based on your schedule, what you're able to allocate time-wise to growing and starting a new business from scratch, right? So if you can find at least 5, but better off 10 hours per week that you could use to start something, awesome.
So for every business and for every personal brand out there that seems to think like, oh, I'm going to become an influencer and I'm going to make all this money because I'm going to build up my LinkedIn following, guess what? If LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook turns off your reach, you're like, that's it, you're done.
Yep.
Let's say that 5 years from now, instead of struggling, you're making $500,000 a year and you're doing really well. I've seen this happen many times. Here's one thing I can promise you. You will be essentially the same person then as you are today. Okay. And the way you're going to make that money and the way you're going to be successful is by being the very, very, very best of what you already have. And the very best of what you already have is already evident. It's already on display. It's probably just a little camouflaged. And your number one job is to figure out, what do I really excel at that's uniquely me? And you figure out which people in the world are going to buy that.
So in my case, the big takeaway is, even if you have 10 people on your email list, what kind of experience are you providing for those 10 people? How can you make them feel like they're a part of something? Because those 10 people can bring 10 new people in each. And those 10 people can bring 100 people in. And from that, it just exponentially grows.
I really want to be mindful about what I put in my mind.
Yeah.
And I want to be very mindful about what I put in my body. So those 2 principles guide a lot of my other choices. It guides what I read, it guides what I eat, it guides the people I spend time with a lot, and it guides what I consider to be entertainment.
For anybody who's looking to get started in running an internet business, I 100% start a YouTube channel. It's free, and just, add value, share value, teach people about things, tell people about things. If you know what the best water is to drink, if you know about fixing, welding, if you know about, social media, anything, just teach people things that are useful, teach people useful information on YouTube. And that's one of the things I do.
There's no reason you can't reach out to your high school, your college, your employer and offer to speak rather than wait to be asked. And so you should, if you want to be a speaker, just be a speaker. And over time, it's something where representation comes when you're no longer able to handle the incoming requests, and there's a need for a third party to get involved. But nobody needs an agent to be a speaker. And I would say there's probably more clients or more speakers out there that don't have agents than do.
Now, that's my final piece of advice for you, is to remember one thing, my friends. It's all about energy, okay? The reason why some of you are stuck, the reason why some of you might be in like lower frequencies, maybe a little bit of negativity, maybe fear, maybe even just self-doubt, or maybe you just low money energy, whatever it is, there's reasons for that. And I'm going to help you with it real quick, okay? Number one is your spirituality. You have to have some form of spiritual practice that opens you up energetically, and a daily spiritual practice, whatever it is. Like, there's millions of spiritual practices. Pick what resonates with you and develop a daily spiritual practice.
So you can put all the processes into place. You can check it off. And some days it's perfect, and some days you just miss. And what we need to do, and what we do our best to do, is then own up to that. take ownership and accountability to that's on me. I didn't follow up with you. That's on, I'm sorry that happened. We left you out. We didn't mean to disrespect you. That's on, we were moving too fast.
I'm a big 10x rule advocate of this idea of it's going to take way more effort than you think it is. But I'm also I minimize timeframes and try to maximize effort. So, I would love to get that goal done tomorrow. You know what I mean? I want to apply the effort today. I don't want to say by the end of 2019, I want to have 4 million followers across platforms or whatever, so that I'm netting 100,000 views per day or whatever. I want that tomorrow. I want that sort of thing tomorrow. So
the most important thing is to take wonderful, impeccable, heartfelt care of the audience that you do have at the moment, and don't be so focused on the horizon to try to just get the numbers. Just focus on the community you have and really building up those super fans and what Kevin Kelly calls your 1,000 true fans. And that's really all you need to really be successful in growing your business. And you might have many, many more people following you on your social channels, but if you have 1,000 true fans, those are the people that follow you everywhere. Whatever product or service you bring out or course, they will be signing up. They'll be the first to sign up. They'll come to your events. They'll be an affiliate. They promote you. Those are the kinds of people that you want. So focus on attracting those. I'm all about the people here.
The most important thing is this. If you want to win at podcasting, you're going to create a unique podcast. You're going to create a podcast that people that listen to it are going to be like, I feel like this podcast was made just for me. Like when I launched EO Fire, it was because I wanted that podcast to exist and it didn't. And people that heard about it for the first time was like, I've been waiting for a 7-day-a-week podcast because I drive to work every day. I go to the gym. I need more stories, more content than these once-a-week shows that, I have to sit around and wait 6 days for the next episode to go live. And then 30 minutes later, it's done. That was the niche and the void that EO Fire filled. And I think that's really important for people to kind of grasp onto, is that is the reality of being unique, being different.
People forget the art of storytelling is how humans communicated ideas for thousands, maybe even millions of years. And I think you always have to get back to what makes a good story and how to tell that story or write that story. And that's how you really communicate.
Who wants to know what would be your game plan if you lived in a third world country? What would you do?
I would take advantage of it. I love third world country arbitrage because I feel like you're competing against lesser players who are using excuses of being in a third world country. And I think if you look at history, at business winning and wealth creation, a lot of it happens in third world countries because there's less A players. And so an A player is able to grab more opportunities.
Nobody is happy all the time, not even me. Stuff happens, it does. Yeah. But it's not what you know, it's what you do consistently that produces the default. So even something as simple as, I always tell people to shake that ass and to do things like that, but just to feel bad and then feel good, feel bad, feel good. You do that over and over again, the feeling bad will trigger you to feel good. But you got to do it with intensity. You got to do it over and over again, and do it as energetic as you do anything. If that was if you were going to make $1 million to do it 1,000 times a day for 5 days, at the end of 5 days, that will be more of your default.
I was, when I started my business at 21, I was in an area where I didn't know anybody. So I didn't have the luxury of hiring people that I knew. I had to go out and recruit. And so here's what you do when you're first starting out. And this is for anyone listening who's just starting to get help. Maybe you have one person, maybe you haven't hired anybody yet. Maybe you're about to hire somebody else in your company. This is the best way to make the transition and make it work for you, is you do a 2-week time study. And here's what a 2-week time study is. We coach this, we train this, we have all of our clients do it. We have them carry sheets of paper and they write down everything they're doing in 15-minute increments. So every 15 minutes, you write down what you're doing. Then at the end of 2 weeks, you look at it and you mark what is strategic and what's tactical. And strategic is anything you have to do. Tactical is anything anyone else could do.